Okay, so let's get ourselves comfortable for a moment. Just adjusting yourself however you need to, so you're sitting comfortably or lying down. You can close your eyes or leave them open. Either way is fine. And let's just start by noticing our breathing. Just bringing attention to the breath. Noticing as it moves in and as it moves out. As though you're actually moving with the breath. Not like it's separate from you or you're witnessing it. More like you're being the breath. So there's no distance between you and your breathing. And as you're just resting quietly, notice how your body naturally moves with the breath. Just feel that natural rise and fall as the breath continues to move in and out. Starting to notice what else is happening in your experience. There's the breath. There's the pauses or space between each breath. There's the movement of the body. Notice also any sounds that you hear. Actually bringing attention to any sounds that are happening inside your room, outside the room. The sound of my voice. Noticing when the sounds stop and start again. But aware even of the silence between the sounds. And underneath the sounds or before the sounds. The silence that the sounds seem to be happening in. So you might need to expand your awareness a little to become aware of that. But notice it's already here. You're not creating that. We're just noticing what's already happening in your experience. And noticing there's the sounds and the silence. And there's also that sense of hearing, the hearing of the sounds. Notice where that seems to be happening in your body, that sense of hearing. Resting quietly for a moment in the hearing itself. Noticing also any thoughts that are happening. Any thoughts at all, even any labeling thoughts, labeling of sounds, labeling of the experience of hearing. Notice those are thoughts as well. We're still not doing anything. We're not trying to change anything or fix anything. We're just becoming aware of what's happening right now in your own internal experience. Noticing also any sensations that are happening in the body. Noticing even that you can bring your attention to all of these elements, all of these experiences. So noticing that you're aware of what's happening. So resting quietly for a moment, just being aware that you're aware. Becoming aware also of the space around your body, just outside your body, around you in the room. Not just in front of you, notice all the way around your body. There's empty space or negative space. See if you can get a sense of what that feels like and how you're aware of it. Is it just a sense or feeling? Or is there an image of what the room looks like? Even some thoughts about it. So noticing how you're aware of it. Again, resting quietly, not actually doing anything with anything that you're aware of. Starting to bring attention to where your body and the space meet. Feeling that sense of air touching your skin. Notice also how you're aware of that. Are you only feeling that edge of your body, the outer layer? Or are there some images showing up as well? Just noticing. And then start to bring attention inward to that inner space inside your body. Feeling what it feels like on the inside. And noticing what it feels like in different parts of your body. Feel the energy inside your head. Just noticing what it feels like, not trying to change it or do anything with it. Only feeling it. And see if that energy that you feel inside your head, is that any different from the energy you feel in your chest or your stomach? So not thinking about any of this, actually being in each part of your body to experience it. And that energy in your chest or your stomach, is that any different from the energy in your arms or your legs? And is that energy anywhere on the inside of your body any different from the energy on the outside of your body? Just gently noticing. And if it is, how do you know? Notice how you're aware of the difference. Is it just a feeling or sensation? Or are there images or thoughts about it? And how about that border between inner and outer? Feeling that. See if the energy of that is any different from the energy on the outside or the inside. And as you keep feeling that, see if even the thoughts of inside and outside make any sense anymore. Or is it all just energy happening? Just notice, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just noticing what's happening in your experience. Being fully with that, just the way it is. then start to bring attention inward again to that felt sense in your body. Notice what sensations are happening here. Maybe there's some tightness or contraction somewhere, some aches or pains, even some tingling or numbness or heaviness. See if there's a sensation that feels particularly strong, that might be unpleasant or calling your attention. And if there is, bring your attention right into it, right into the actual energy of it. And if there isn't, just pick one. And for a moment, we're not going to do anything with it. We're going to just rest here quietly. Give it permission to be itself. Permission to be uncomfortable. And if you're feeling a pleasant sensation, then giving that permission to be as well. Either way, we're only feeling. And notice how you're aware of this sensation. Are you only feeling it? Or is there something else happening? Maybe you have a mental image of the part of the body that it's in, or a picture of a shape or color that seems to represent the energy. And maybe you have thoughts about it. So just notice what's here. And even if there are thoughts or images, keep attention in the energy by itself. Don't move from it unless it naturally moves on its own. Even if it gets really uncomfortable, keep feeling it, past the point where you think you can't take it anymore, and then keep feeling it anyway. Take your time with it. Notice what happens when you really let this be here. See if it can even stay. Or does it just naturally dissolve on its own back into the space that it is happening in? And notice if there's some sense of trying to get it to fade away or dissolve or go away. Some sense of resistance of what's here. And if there is, let that be okay too. Notice that's also an energy happening here, probably with some thoughts or images on that. So if resistance is here, then resist. Be the energy of resistance. Like you're saying yes to that too. Not moving from that unless it naturally moves on its own. So take your time, there's no rush. Completely being with one sensation at a time. And if a sensation shifts for you, then notice what's here in its place and feel that. Just resting quietly. Notice what happens when you do nothing at all with anything that shows up. You're not trying to fix anything. Just full permission for this moment to be the way it already is. And this moment too. And even this moment. Whatever is happening for you, let it be. Better yet, be it, as though it's not separate from you. So if you have a lot of body energies, then you can keep feeling them. But my guess is there's probably thoughts happening as well. So let's start to explore thought. From resting here, from staying present here, let's notice how we experience thought. So whatever thoughts are here for you, notice how you're aware of them. How do you even know there's thought here? Are you hearing them? Like literally hearing your thoughts the way you hear the sound of my voice? Maybe you're seeing images, pictures, shapes, colors, memories, future possibilities. Maybe you can even see the words. See an image of the letters that make up the thought. So just becoming aware of how you're aware of them. Still not doing anything with them. Not trying to change your thoughts. Not trying to make them go away. Every thought, letting it be here. Notice even where they seem to be located. Do they seem to be inside your body, outside your body? Just notice. And wherever they seem to be located, let them be there. Let them stay or go. Whatever they do naturally on their own. Keep allowing your thoughts. If you're hearing them, only hear them. If you're seeing them, words or pictures, only look at them. Only let the eyes gently gaze at them. Or let the ears hear them. Notice what happens when you don't do anything with them. When they're free to come and go, however they do. And notice if more thoughts come up about what might happen if you let your thoughts be. Notice those are just thoughts too. And let those be too. Let them come and go as they naturally do. And if you expand your awareness just a little, you might even notice the space around the thoughts, or before them or underneath them, the space that the thoughts happen in. And from there you can watch or hear your thoughts. We're not noticing the content of the thoughts or engaging in them. Just notice how thoughts happen and what happens when you do nothing with them, when you let them come and go on their own. See if any can even stay. And if there does seem to be some meaning on any of your thoughts, notice that meaning is also another thought. And hear that or see that. And notice what happens when you don't do anything with those either. And if you want to explore your thoughts a little deeper, see if you can actually touch a thought. What does it feel like? Does it have a substance? What is it made of? What is its texture if you were to reach out your hand and try to touch one or hold one in your hand? Just notice. See if you can bring your attention to the place that the next thought is going to come out of. And then watch it as it's born. Watch as it lives its lifespan, or hear. And then notice as it naturally fades off back into the quietness that it came out of. So notice the whole stream, quiet, thought, quiet, thought, quiet, thought. Not putting any more emphasis on either. Noticing it's all equal. It's just what's happening. You can take your time, keep exploring your thoughts if you'd like. Otherwise, notice what's happening in your body. Bring attention back into that felt sense. Noticing what's here now, just feeling, whether it's something pleasant or unpleasant. What if you do nothing with it either way, whatever this energy or sensation is that's happening in your body? What if you let it be? And even better, what if you be it? Like there's no distance between you and this energy. See if there's really any problem with it. And if there seems to be, notice what else is happening with it. Are there more words or pictures? Even a label on the sensation? If there is, notice that label is a thought about the energy. And let the thought be too. Either just see it or hear it until it naturally fades off on its own. And then feel the raw energy by itself, just for a moment, not knowing anything about it. Notice what happens when you do that. So keep dropping into that felt sense in your body. whatever's here, allowing it to be here. Not pushing anything away, not holding on to anything. And yet if the sense or energy of pushing away or holding on is here, letting that be too. Not letting it go, letting it be. Letting it be itself. And maybe you can notice the even more subtle senses of noticing, allowing, being aware of what's happening. Notice those are also energies that are happening here, even if they're more subtle. Even the senses of seeing or hearing, feeling. So whichever one you notice, rest quietly in that. Let that be too. And notice what happens when you don't do anything with it. Stay with it all the way through. Whatever's here, not moving from it, staying with one sensation or one thought or one image at a time. Go at your own pace. Dropping even deeper in what's really here right now. Feel that. Stay with it. See if you can notice that sense of me, that familiar sense that you know is you. And maybe an even more subtle energy happening in the body. And notice how you're aware of it. How do you know that's you? Maybe you hear your name or see a picture of you. If you just rest quietly, if you're seeing an image or hearing something, even the words, "that's me," let them all be. Keep hearing or seeing till those naturally shift on their own. And then just feel the energy by itself. But this time without knowing anything about it. Resting so quietly in it you could hear a pin drop in the next room. Notice what happens to even that sense. When you do nothing with it. And if you've been doing all this with your eyes closed, let's start to notice what happens when we open our eyes. So when you're ready, staying present here in the body, begin to slowly and gently open your eyes. But not going anywhere, still fully present right here. And with your eyes open, feel what's happening in your body. And notice how you're aware of it, even while your eyes are open. Is it just a sensation? Maybe there's still mental images coming up or thoughts about what you're experiencing. Notice you're still aware, even with your eyes open. You're still aware of your internal experience, thoughts, images, body energies. As you rest quietly here, just feeling, or just seeing, or just hearing, depending on what's here for you. Notice what happens. Notice even if there's a trying to make something happen. And if there is, let that be too. Feel the energy of trying. Stay with the energy. Eyes open. Yes to this too. To whatever is here for you. And notice what happens if you don't actually move, even if there's an impulse to move. Just feel the impulse. Rest quietly in that. Eyes still open. And notice what happens when you do nothing with anything that shows up. even while your eyes are open. If this is a little more challenging for you, let that be okay. The more you practice just resting here now with your eyes open, the easier it gets. If there's any thoughts that I should be doing it differently or better, let those be here too. Notice even with your eyes open, you can notice thoughts coming and going without engaging in them. And then start to notice, while you're present in your body, what you see, what the eyes see as you look around the room. Noticing colors, shapes. Noticing nothing you see actually has a label on it. Notice that chair isn't calling itself a chair. Table isn't labeling itself a table. It's just color. See if you would even know that there's shape there without colors. With your eyes open, still present here. Notice the space between any colors and shapes that you see. See if you can bring your attention to that. Even with eyes open, just looking, just feeling, just hearing. Notice what's actually happening right now. Is anything that you see asking you to do something with it? Is anything saying, fix me, help me, do something with me? Maybe it feels like they are. So notice that feeling, that impulse to do something. And just feel it. And notice what happens when you just feel, you just see, you just hear. It's resting quietly and allowing everything, literally everything, to be and happen the way it already is. Even any movement to fix or do something. And notice this is a moment by moment, just present right here now. Notice we've taken an hour to do this. But notice you can do this in every moment. Just be present right here. What's happening right now? And let it happen the way it's happening. Literally everything. And when you forget, let the forgetting be here. And when you remember, let that be here. Bringing attention back to being aware of what's here. And then just noticing what happens when you don't do anything. Doesn't mean you don't act when you need to. But you're just aware of all of it.